Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Easy Programming. I am Naveen Mishra and I'll continue with my series of Java programming. In my previous video tutorial, I have covered the topic of exception handling. Uh, in this video, we will cover two pending topics of that exception handling. One is difference between through and throws along with the programs and the user defined exception. In this video, I will also cover threads and start some basics of threading and multi-threading. This will be the last video of this will be the last topic of console programming. Sorry for that. And after that, we will cover with GUI programming of applets, AWT swings, and then followed by the database connectivity. So let's start with our today's topic, that is user defined exceptions. Difference between through and throws. So first of all, we have to understand what is a throw and what is a throws. Whenever we write a program, just a second, I have to write a new file here, test exception. So if you are creating a program of exception handling, generally what you do is you will start a try keyword followed by the catch keyword, and you will pass the exception parameter here. From this block to this block, the from the try block to catch block, the control is automatically transferred. Okay, I have to place it inside a method. Okay, so if there is an exception here, like if you try to do is c is equals to 10 divided by 0, if there is an error then or exception, then the compiler will automatically transfer the control from here to here, okay, using the throw keyword. But you can use the throw keyword in your program independently, and we can also have a throws method. So let's study what is exactly throw and throws. So there you go. It is used to explicitly throw an exception. So what I can do is I can say throw new arithmetic exception, and I can pass the message here. Okay, so this is specifically calling the arithmetic exception handling. So it is used to explicitly throw an exception. So let's study about throw first. Now only one exception can be thrown using throw keyword. So if here I am passing only arithmetic exception, I cannot pass more than one exceptions from here. Throw keyword is used within the method definition, so it should be inside the method definition. This is the syntax and example. So there you go, throw new arithmetic exception, and I'm passing this throw keyword here. Okay, other than throw, we have a throws method. Generally, why we use a throws method, that is, suppose I'm creating a method void divide by 0, and I know this method will generate an error, like I'll say int is the return type, and I'll say return 10 divided by 10 comma 10 divided by 0, so whatever the answer is. Now this is my method which is generating an error here, an exception here, but is not handling it, that is, it is not using the try catch block. In such case, what you can do is you can define the throws arithmetic exception alongside the definition. By doing so, you are using the throws method, and whoever calls this method, let's say here you call this method in get method. So if you want to call this method, you should place it inside the try catch block. Okay, so this method, because it is throwing an exception, this line should be placed inside the try block. So whoever calls a method which doesn't handle the exception but it is throwing the exception, then it must call that method inside the try catch block. Okay, so there you go. It is used to declare an exception. Multiple exceptions can be thrown using throws. So what I can do is here I can say comma array index out of bounds exception. So I can pass multiple exceptions using the throws keyword. Okay, so throws is followed by some class. It means through is followed by an instance, it is followed by a class. So here through you're using this instance object name, but you can pass the class here. Okay, so this is the instance and this is the class. Okay, so this is how you call a method, or how you create a throws throws method, working of throws. Okay, so let us write a program in which we will try to make both the problems, that is throw and throws. Okay, so let's start. We'll create a method void working, and here we will throw exception throws, let's say arithmetic exception. Okay, and inside this method we'll say throw new arithmetic exception cannot divide by 0. Okay, so this method working have both the example of throws as well as throw. So you are using the throws and throw both in this method. Okay, and that's it. I don't have to do anything here, but where I will call this method here, just a second, this is the play method. I'll comment everything else and we'll create a method of test exception. So test exception te1 equals to new test exception. So I'm creating the object here, and then I will put a try catch block. Just a second, I have to place it inside some method. Okay, just a second. So try followed by the catch block. Okay, and inside try I will call this method working, and catch, since I'm passing the arithmetic exception, I will have an object of arithmetic exception. Just a second, these are brackets, multiple brackets, so let's just print a simple message: runtime exception plus ae dot get message is the method. Okay, so let's run this file. And there you go, runtime exception message comes from here, and the other message cannot divide by 0 comes from here because it is throwing the exception. So this is a practical example of exception handling. Okay, so let's move on. Now user defined exceptions. We know we have a list of exceptions like arithmetic exceptions, array index out of bound, array exceptions, and so on. We have many exceptions, but there are chances that you might have your own exception, or you want to create your own exception and throw it using the throw keyword. Okay, so if you want to create your own exception, then it is called user defined exceptions, or your exceptions is called custom exceptions. Okay, to make a custom exception, you have to create a class and call the inbuilt class exception class of the Java. All the inbuilt exceptions have a parent class exception class, and in the same way we can create our own custom exception which will have a parent class named as exception. Okay, so in our class we can have a parameterized constructor which will receive the error message and will pass this constructor message to our base class message using the super keyword. Okay, so when we have to throw the user defined exceptions, you can do this. This is the syntax. So throw new, then the name of your exception followed by the error message. So we'll see the program here. There you go, we have the program. Now here, just a second. Okay, so here I have created, just a second, I have created an exception here. Okay, and which inherits the exception class, which inherits this exception class, okay, and this exception have a constructor which will have a string parameter, okay, and in the super I am calling the base class constructor and passing this message to that, okay. So this is the user defined exception and I'm calling this user defined exception here. So what I'm doing is I'm just giving a message, then this throw method will call this constructor, and in further this constructor will pass the error message to this exception class, and when I'm using the catch block here I'm printing that message using this object of UE, okay. And there you just a second, and this will be your output, okay. So inside the try block this is the 16th line that is being printed, then since there is an exception, so it calls this method is this constructor which further calls the exception class constructor, and inside the catch block this message executes, okay. So this is your output. So this is your program of user defined exception, a simple and small program, okay. So that's it, the end of the user defined exceptions, okay, and the exception handling topic is done. We'll continue with thread, new topic, multi-threading. Now what is multi-threading? Generally a compiler executes one method or one program at one time, but to speed up the process of execution or compilation you can increase this speed by executing more than one programs. If you are executing more than one method or program at the same time, then it is called multi-programming generally in operating systems, but in program this is called multi-threading. So in multi-threading is just the multitasking of operating system, but here we'll execute more than one thread at the same time, okay. In multi-threading, main class and the other class can be treated as a thread. By doing so, more than one thread can be executed at the time by the Java compiler. So in the previous programs you are using the main method. The main method and the previous programs are called single threaded programs. There is only one thread which is being executed. If you want to execute more than one thread, then you can do it by using the multi-threading method, okay. So a multi-threaded program contains many parts which can run concurrently with each other. So you can have 2 or 3 threads, they can run simultaneously with other threads, okay. By using the concept of multi-threading, you can write multiple activities at the same time, you can execute multiple activities at the same time. Now what will be the advantage of multi-threading? So it will save your time definitely. Now threads are independent from other threads, so they will not affect the other threads. So if you are executing, let's say, an addition program in one thread and you are working with multiplication in other thread, these 2 threads can work independently, so they will not affect the execution of each other, okay. And the user can also do the task behind as per your requirement. So let's see how it will work graphically. So let's say we have a three threads, thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, and you have written some code here, okay. So after creating all these threads, you must connect it in the main thread. So you will create a main thread and you will try to connect all these threads in the main thread by calling the start method. Once you start all these threads, thread 1, thread 2 and thread 3 will not execute one by one. Thread 1 will execute for some time, then the compiler will switch to thread 2, then the compiler will switch to thread 3, and so on until all these threads complete their execution. But it will not happen that thread 1 will execute first, then it finishes, then thread 2 executes, then it finishes, then thread 3 executes, then it finishes. It will not work like this. So the main advantage of multi-threading is you want to execute thread 1, thread 2, thread 3 at the same time with same priority. If you do not implement the multi-threading, then thread 3 have to wait until thread 1 and thread 2 completes their executions. Okay, so thread 2 have to wait for thread 1, thread 3 have to wait for thread 1 and thread 2 if you are not implementing the multi-threading. But by implementing the multi-threading, all these threads 1, 2, 3 can execute simultaneously. The waiting time of thread 2 and thread 3 will be lot less. Okay, so basically the compiler will switch from one thread to another thread to execute these threads. Okay, so what is a thread? Now just like a program, you can have a thread which is a light lightweight process. Lightweight process, what I'm trying to tell you is that a large block is subdivided into small parts. Each part can be called a thread, and the thread will be a lightweight process. That is, it will not have a lot bigger coding to execute. Okay. A thread can share the resources as well. So two threads can share the resources. If you have a single printer, and these two printers can be shared by thread 1 and thread 2 at the same time. Okay. Now, how to create a thread? You can create a thread in Java by two ways. Number one, by inheriting the Java thread class, and number two, by implementing the runnable interface. So Java provides you two ways to implement the multi-threading concept. One is to use the thread class, and another is to use the runnable interface. Okay. So this is the syntax of how to use the thread class. Okay. Let's see here. So number one, we can inherit a thread class. So this is how you can do it. Just a second. So sorry. Okay. So here this is my thread class, which is inheriting the inbuilt thread class of Java program. Okay. If you are inheriting a thread class, you must have a run method, and inside the run method, whatever code you want to execute, you can place it here. Okay. So if you want to create an exception, you must inherit or extend the exception class. If you want to create a thread, you must inherit the thread class. Okay. And in the same way, the applet will also work. So if you want to create your own applet, then you must implement or inherit the applet class. Okay. So this is a general idea of how to implement your own thread, your own exception, or your own applets. Okay. So let's move on. Now, the other way is to implement the runnable interface. So everything is same, but I have changed this extends thread to implements runnable. Both methods will work. There is nothing much difference between these two. Okay. So you can use any one of them, but a thread will only work if you have a run method. So you must have a run method, only then your thread will work. Okay. Now how to start a thread? So you have created a thread here. Okay. Now how will you execute this thread? To execute the thread, you must create the object of your thread class and then call the start method. Okay. Start method initiates the thread, and there is a sequence of life cycle of thread that I will cover in the next video tutorial. There is a start method, there is a ready method, there is running method, blocked, waiting. There are lot of states of thread. Lot of states of thread, and the compiler will go on from one state to another state. And when you call the start method, it will automatically call the run method somewhere. Okay. So how you will create that? So just create an object of your class and then call the start method. There you go. This is the example. So here I have created a my thread class, and here I am implementing the object of the my thread class here, and then I am calling the start method. Now this start method will somewhere call this run method. Okay. I hope you guys have understood or get the basic idea of how the threads work. I will implement the practical of the program in the next video. Till then, see you. Take care of yourself. See you in the next video. Cheers.